Sure, here's an expanded version of the first key point. I have learned, sometimes the hard way, that not everyone deserves my energy. And if I could go back and tell my younger self one thing, it would be this: stop giving so much of yourself to people who don't value it. We are taught to be kind, to be generous, to be accommodating. And yes, kindness is a virtue. But there is a fine line between being kind and being drained. There is a difference between offering warmth and letting people take advantage of it. I've been in situations where I gave too much of my time, my attention, my effort, only to realize that it wasn't appreciated. Worse, it was expected. And the moment I stepped back, I saw the truth. Some people were there not because they cared, but because they benefited from my presence. The problem isn't kindness itself. The problem is where we invest it. Not everyone we meet deserves our emotional investment. Some people are only in our lives to take our time, our peace, our positivity, without ever giving anything back. They come with problems but never solutions. They take comfort in your presence but disappear when you need them. And sometimes we keep giving because we don't want to seem selfish. But let me tell you something, protecting your energy is not selfish. It's survival. Think about the people in your life right now. Do they uplift you? Do they inspire you, or do they exhaust you? It's not always easy to see, because we convince ourselves that we must keep certain relationships alive. We hold on because of history, because of guilt, because we are afraid of what letting go might mean. But the truth is, you are doing yourself a disservice by keeping people in your life who don't respect or reciprocate your energy. I have met people who would smile at me in public but question my success behind my back. People who would happily take from me advice, help, support, but disappear the moment I needed something in return. And I realized I was wasting my energy. The time and effort I was spending on them could have been poured into something more meaningful, into people who actually cared, into my dreams, into my personal growth. I want you to ask yourself, are you investing your energy wisely? Every day you have a limited amount of emotional, mental, and physical energy to give. You can either spend it on people who drain you, or you can choose to reserve it for people who deserve it. The moment you start prioritizing yourself, you will see the difference. And no, it's not easy. People will call you distant. They will say you've changed. And they're right, you have changed. You are no longer willing to pour your light into people who only bring darkness. And that is something to be proud of. So let go of the guilt. Let go of the need to be available to everyone all the time. Not everyone deserves your energy. Save it for the people, the dreams, and the goals that truly matter. Because when you protect your energy, you don't just survive, you thrive. This keeps Priyanka Chopra's bold, empowering tone while expanding on the key message. Would you like any refinements? I have spent years learning one of the hardest lessons in life. You do not need everyone's approval to be confident in yourself. In a world where people are quick to judge, where opinions are thrown around like confetti, it's easy to fall into the trap of seeking validation. We all want to be liked, to be accepted, to feel like we belong. But here's the truth: if you rely on other people's approval to feel confident, you are giving them the power to control your self-worth. I used to be that person. I wanted people to like me. I wanted to be the perfect friend, the perfect colleague, the perfect public figure. I thought if I could just be nice enough, work hard enough, please enough people, I would be seen and appreciated. But what I didn't realize was that the more I chased approval, the more I lost myself. Because no matter how much you do, there will always be people who don't approve of you. There will always be someone who thinks you're too much, too little, too quiet, too quiet. If you try to mold yourself into what others want, you will spend your whole life being a version of yourself that isn't real. The turning point for me was when I realized that confidence isn't about how others see you, it's about how you see yourself. Confidence isn't built by external validation. It is built by knowing who you are, what you stand for, and refusing to let the world shake that foundation. Confidence comes from accepting yourself, flaws and all, and walking into a room with your head held high, not because everyone likes you, but because you like yourself. Think about the people you admire. The most successful, powerful, and inspiring people in the world did not get there by seeking approval. They got there by believing in themselves even when no one else did. They got there by taking risks, by embracing their uniqueness, by standing firm in their identity. They didn't waste their time trying to make everyone happy. They focused on their purpose, their passion, and their truth. And that is what made them unstoppable. I want you to ask yourself this: are you living for yourself, or are you living for the approval of others? Do you dress a certain way, speak a certain way, act a certain way because it feels right to you? Or because you think it will make people like you? Do you hold yourself back from chasing your dreams because you're afraid of what people might say? If you are constantly waiting for the world's approval, you will never take the steps needed to become the person you are meant to be. The day I stopped seeking approval was the day I truly found my confidence. I stopped apologizing for taking up space. I stopped shrinking myself to make others comfortable. I stopped explaining my choices to people who weren't living my life. And you know what happened? I felt free. I felt powerful. Because I finally understood that confidence is not something you get from others, it's something you give to yourself. So here's my advice: stop trying to be liked, start trying to be respected, stop waiting for validation. Stop dimming your light so others can shine. The people who truly matter will respect you for who you are, not for who they want you to be. Confidence is not about being perfect, it's about embracing your imperfections and still knowing your worth. At the end of the day, you are the only person who has to live with yourself. Make sure you are living for you. Because the moment you stop chasing approval is the moment you start owning your power. And trust me, there is nothing more powerful than a person who knows their worth. For the longest time, I believed that saying yes to everything made me a good person. That being available for everyone, always putting others first, and constantly giving my time and energy meant I was doing the right thing. But over the years, I learned a hard truth: when you don't set boundaries, people will take as much as you give, and then some. I used to think boundaries were about pushing people away, about being selfish. But boundaries are not about shutting people out. They are about protecting yourself. They are about making sure that you are not being drained, manipulated, or taken for granted. They are about recognizing your worth and making sure others recognize it too. It took me years to realize that no is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain, justify, or feel guilty for it. You don't owe your time, your energy, or your peace to anyone who does not respect it. If someone only values you when you say yes, then they don't truly value you at all. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that people will treat you the way you allow them to. If you constantly say yes to things that make you uncomfortable, if you allow people to overstep, if you never speak up when someone crosses the line, then they will continue doing it. Because why wouldn't they? You have to teach people how to treat you. And that starts with setting clear, firm boundaries. I have been in situations where I have felt exhausted, overworked, and underappreciated simply because I didn't set boundaries. I have given too much to relationships that were one-sided, to friendships that drained me, to work that demanded more than it gave back. And the moment I started saying no, the moment I started standing up for myself, I saw who truly respected me. Some people didn't like it, and that's fine, because the people who truly care about you will respect your boundaries, not fight them. Boundaries are not just about saying no to others, they are about saying yes to yourself. They are about recognizing that your time and energy are valuable. You do not have to be available 24/7. You do not have to answer every message immediately, attend every event, or take every call. You have the right to take time for yourself without feeling guilty about it. And let's be clear, setting boundaries does not make you unkind. You can be a loving person and still have limits. You can be generous and still protect your energy. In fact, when you set boundaries, you are able to give more genuinely because you are giving from a place of strength, not exhaustion. I want you to ask yourself, where in your life do you need to set stronger boundaries? Is it in your relationships, at work, with your family, with yourself? Because here's the truth: if you don't set boundaries, you will burn out. You will become resentful. You will start feeling like you're always giving but never receiving. And that is not a life you deserve. The most successful and powerful people in the world have boundaries. They protect their time, their energy, and their mental peace. They do not let guilt or fear of judgment stop them from saying no when they need to. And neither should you. So if you have been struggling with boundaries, take this as your sign to start setting them. You do not have to explain or justify them. Your boundaries are valid simply because you set them. And trust me, the moment you stop letting people overstep, the moment you take control of your space, your time, and your energy, you will feel a new level of freedom, confidence, and power. Because boundaries are not just important, they are necessary. And the moment you start enforcing them, you will realize just how much stronger you truly are. For the longest time, I believed that being nice was the key to earning respect. That if I was kind enough, accommodating enough, and agreeable enough, people would value and appreciate me. But over time, I learned a harsh truth: niceness alone does not earn respect. Strength does. Now, don't get me wrong, kindness is important. The world needs more of it. But when kindness comes without boundaries, when it turns into people-pleasing, when it forces you to shrink yourself just to make others comfortable, it stops being a strength and becomes a weakness. People respect those who stand their ground, not those who constantly bend to fit the needs of others. I have seen it in my own life, in my career, and in the people around me. The ones who demand respect are not necessarily the ones who are the nicest. They are the ones who carry themselves with confidence, the ones who are firm in their decisions, the ones who do not allow themselves to be walked over. Because here's the truth: when you prioritize being liked over being respected, you end up losing both. Think about it. If you're always saying yes when you want to say no, if you allow people to take advantage of your kindness, if you avoid confrontation just to keep the peace, you may be seen as nice, but will you be respected? Probably not. Respect is built through strength, the strength to set boundaries, to speak up, to stand alone if necessary. It is about having a voice and using it even when it makes others uncomfortable. I have been in situations where I was underestimated because I was polite, where people mistook my kindness for weakness, thinking they could take advantage of it. But the moment I started asserting myself, the moment I stopped apologizing for my presence, the moment I chose respect over likability, I saw the difference. People started taking me seriously, not because I became mean, but because I became strong. The world often tells us, especially women, to be agreeable, to be soft, to be accommodating. But the truth is, respect does not come from being passive. It comes from standing firm. It comes from being decisive. It comes from knowing your worth and refusing to accept anything less. The most respected people in the world are not the ones who tried to please everyone. They are the ones who stayed true to themselves, even when it was difficult. I want you to ask yourself, are you prioritizing being liked over being respected? Are you avoiding difficult conversations because you don't want to upset anyone? Are you allowing people to treat you in ways that don't align with your values because you don't want to cause conflict? If so, it's time to change that, because respect is not given freely. It is earned through strength, through confidence, and through the courage to stand up for yourself. And here's the best part: when you choose strength, when you demand respect, you attract the right people into your life. The ones who value you for who you are, not just for what you do for them. The ones who appreciate your kindness without exploiting it. The ones who respect your voice instead of trying to silence it. So stop trying to be liked by everyone. Stop thinking that if you are just a little bit nicer, people will treat you better. Instead, be strong, be firm, stand up for yourself, because at the end of the day, respect lasts longer than approval. And the moment you choose to be strong rather than just nice, you will realize that respect was within your power all along. For as long as I can remember, I have believed in kindness. I was raised to be compassionate, to be considerate, to treat people with respect. And I still stand by that. The world needs kindness, more of it, not less. But one of the biggest lessons I have learned is this: kindness is a strength, but only when it is backed by self-respect. The moment your kindness comes at the cost of your dignity, it stops being a virtue and starts becoming a weakness. You see, there is a dangerous misconception that being kind means always saying yes, always being available, always accommodating others, no matter what. We are told that being a good person means sacrificing our needs, tolerating bad behavior, and accepting whatever treatment is thrown our way. But that is not kindness, that is self-betrayal. And let me tell you something very clearly: kindness should never come at the expense of your self-worth. I have been in situations where I gave too much, where I kept quiet when I should have spoken up, where I let things slide because I didn't want to create conflict. I thought I was being kind. I thought I was doing the right thing, but over time, I realized that all I was doing was allowing people to take advantage of me. Because here's the truth: people will treat you the way you allow them to. If you never set boundaries, if you never stand up for yourself, if you continue to let people walk all over you in the name of kindness, they will keep doing it. So I want to tell you this: be kind, but do not be a doormat. You can be compassionate and still have boundaries. You can be understanding and still say no. You can be generous with your time and energy, but only to those who appreciate it, not to those who exploit it. Being kind does not mean you have to tolerate disrespect. It does not mean you have to accept less than you deserve. It does not mean you have to put everyone else's needs above your own. True kindness comes with self-respect. It comes with knowing your worth and refusing to let anyone diminish it. It comes with having the strength to walk away from situations and people that drain you. It comes from realizing that you do not have to choose between being kind and being strong. You can be both. Think about the people you admire. The leaders, the visionaries, the ones who inspire you. Are they kind? Yes, but are they pushovers? Absolutely not. They know when to be soft and they know when to be firm. They know that kindness is not about pleasing everyone. It is about treating people with respect, while also demanding the same in return. I want you to ask yourself, are you being kind, or are you letting yourself be taken for granted? Are you constantly giving but never receiving? Are you allowing others to cross your boundaries because you don't want to seem rude? Are you afraid to stand up for yourself because you worry it will make you less likable? If so, it's time to make a change, because the reality is this: you teach people how to treat you. If you never speak up when someone disrespects you, they will keep doing it. If you always say yes, even when you don't want to, they will keep expecting it. If you continue to let people walk all over you, they will never learn to respect your space. You have to set the standard for how you want to be treated. And that starts with understanding that your kindness should never come at the cost of your power. So be kind, but be firm. Be loving, but be strong. Give, but don't let yourself be drained. And most importantly, know that you are allowed to take up space, to have boundaries, to demand respect without losing the goodness in your heart. Because true kindness is not about making yourself small for others. It is about standing tall, knowing your worth, and refusing to let anyone take advantage of it. In a world obsessed with numbers, it's easy to believe that more is always better. More friends, more followers, more social connections. We are taught to measure success by how many people surround us, how many messages we receive, how many invitations we get. But over time, I have learned a powerful lesson: quantity means nothing without quality. I have met many people in my life from all walks of life. Some were kind, some were inspiring, some were unforgettable. But I have also encountered those who only stayed as long as they needed something, who disappeared when times got tough, who were present in numbers but absent in loyalty. And that made me realize that having 100 people around you means nothing if none of them truly care about you. There was a time when I thought the more people I had in my circle, the better. I believed that being surrounded by a large group meant I was doing something right. But the reality is, having a crowd around you does not mean you are truly supported. It is far better to have a few genuine people who uplift you than a room full of acquaintances who wouldn't notice if you were struggling. I have seen people with thousands of followers online but no real friends to call when they need help. I have seen people who are the life of the party but feel completely alone when the music stops. That's because true connection is not measured by numbers. It is measured by depth, by trust, by the ability to be your real self without fear of judgment. So I want you to ask yourself, are you chasing numbers or are you building meaningful connections? Are you collecting people just for the sake of it, or are you surrounding yourself with those who truly value you? Because the truth is, life is too short to invest your time in shallow relationships. Choosing quality over quantity applies to every area of life: your friendships, your relationships, your work, your goals. It is better to have one friend who truly understands you than 10 who only show up when it's convenient. It is better to have one deep, meaningful conversation than a dozen small talks that leave you feeling empty. It is better to give your energy to a few important goals than to spread yourself thin trying to do everything at once. Think about the most important moments in your life, the times you needed support, the times you celebrated your biggest achievements. Who was there for you? I guarantee it wasn't the crowd. It was the few who truly cared, the ones who stood by you no matter what. These are the people who matter. These are the connections you should nurture. And let me tell you something else: choosing quality over quantity is an act of self-respect. It means valuing your time and energy enough to be selective about who and what you invest in. It means understanding that not everyone deserves access to you. It means knowing that your peace of mind is worth more than superficial relationships. There will be times when choosing quality over quantity will feel lonely, when you will have to let go of people who no longer align with your growth, when you will realize that some friendships were built on convenience, not true connection. And that's okay, because every time you remove the unnecessary, you make space for the meaningful. So stop worrying about how many people are in your life, how many friends you have, how many likes you get. Instead, focus on the depth of your connections, the value of your relationships, the authenticity of your experiences. Because in the end, it's not about how many people know your name, it's about how many truly understand your heart.